All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to jump into something pretty mind-bending. It's a new way of looking at reality called panpardism, and what it does is try to connect the dots between hard science, ancient spirituality, even the paranormal, all based on one single powerful idea. So you ready? Let's get into it.
Okay, so it all starts with this one question. Just think about this for a second. What if your soul, your consciousness, the very essence of you, what if it's completely immaterial? What if it has literally zero mass? This one simple thought is the key that's going to unlock this entire framework. So let's just follow that idea down the rabbit hole. If the soul really has no mass, what does that even mean? Well, it takes us right into the heart of modern physics, and face to face with Albert Einstein himself.
Now, here's a statement from Einstein's relativity that just completely changes the game. It says that time and distance, the two things we think are the most fundamental parts of reality, they aren't fundamental at all. They're just effects, byproducts of mass. It's the physical stuff, the mass of our bodies, that actually creates the separation between us in space and time.
But what happens to something with zero mass? Well, according to that very same theory, it has to travel at the speed of light, c. And when you hit that universal speed limit, things get really, really weird. I mean, you can see the equation here, but forget the math for a second. What this means is that for you, time would basically stop and flow in all directions at once. Distance would just shrink to zero. Everything, everywhere, happens all at once.
And from that crazy idea, we get the core concept of the relativistic soul. It's this idea of a consciousness that, because it's massless, exists at light speed. It's not stuck on our conveyor belt of time, watching life one frame at a time. No, it gets to see the entire movie, every single moment, every possible place, all at once, from one single, unified perspective.
And this is where things get really wild, because all of a sudden, ancient religious teachings start to sound, well, less like metaphors and more like physics. Panpardicardism suggests that when a holy book talks about being with God in heaven for eternity, it might be giving us a literal physical description. When your body, the thing with mass, dies, your massless consciousness just returns to its natural state, experiencing all of reality from that timeless, spaceless viewpoint of C. Okay, I know, that is a massive idea. So the next logical step here is to, try and break it. Let's really stress test this concept and see if it holds up when we throw other kinds of human knowledge at it.
The way we do that is with something called a hollow Gnostic approach. And really all that means is that we're going to look at all the data. Science is our foundation for sure, but religious texts, spiritual practices, first-hand accounts of near-death experiences, even weird paranormal case files, they're all treated as clues, as different pieces of the same giant puzzle.
And this is where you start to get goosebumps. Let's take near-death experiences, NDEs. You've got Dr. Eben Alexander, a neurosurgeon, a brain surgeon, reporting something that should be totally impossible. He says he lived an entire lifetime during just a few minutes of being clinically dead, a time when his brain showed zero activity. And here it is. Here's the connection. What he's describing isn't just some vague spiritual feeling. His experience of living a lifetime in a moment of timelessness, that is a literal description of the physics we were just talking about. It's exactly what Einstein's relativity predicts would happen to a massless consciousness moving at light speed. The science and the spiritual experience, they just click together. So what about something like ethics? Take the golden rule. I mean, look at this. It shows up everywhere, in every major religion, just worded a little differently. Isn't that kind of strange? Why is this one idea so universal? Well, panpardism would say it's because it's not just good advice. It's a description of how reality is actually structured. If we're all just little pieces of one single, unified consciousness, then of course you should treat others as yourself. Hurting them is, quite literally, hurting yourself. Okay, so this brings up a huge practical question. If we all have this other, massless, higher dimensional part of ourselves, can we actually tap into it, while we're still alive? Let's take a look at the how. First, it helps to kind of see this duality we're all living with. Think of it like you've got two competing radio stations playing at once. You've got the body, it's got mass, it's stuck in one place, it sees everything as separate, and it's always shouting about animal desires, for food, safety, pleasure. Then you've got the soul. It's massless, it's everywhere at once, it sees only unity, and it's quietly broadcasting on a frequency of harmony, compassion, and love.
So, how do we turn down the volume on the body radio so we can hear the soul station?
Well, this is where practices like meditation and prayer suddenly stop being mystical and start making perfect physical sense. They are quite literally techniques designed to do exactly this: silence the body's constant noise, quiet down all the distractions from our five senses, and let our awareness step back to witness reality from that massless, unified perspective.
Now, this framework also gives us a new way to think about certain psychedelic compounds, like DMT, which is the active ingredient in ayahuasca. For thousands of years, people have used these substances to reach these exact states we're talking about. It's possible they act like a kind of chemical key, one that temporarily forces open the door to the soul's perspective, giving you a glimpse without needing decades of meditation practice.
And all of this leads to a pretty profound rethinking of what enlightenment even is. We tend to think of it as a place you get to, or some permanent state of bliss you achieve. But in this model, it's about shifting your viewpoint to be 100% from the soul and 0% from the body, which means enlightenment isn't a place at all. It's a velocity. It's the speed of light.
So, what's the takeaway here? How does any of this change our day-to-day lives? Well, this brings us to the final and maybe the most powerful part of this whole idea: the fact that your choices are literally creating your reality. This idea is called dimensional ethics. The proposal is that we exist in a multiverse of infinite possible timelines, and every single choice you make, from what you say to someone at the grocery store to what you decide to do with your life, it's not just a choice, it's a literal navigation, a shift from one timeline to another. Good choices, the ones that come from that unified soul perspective, literally steer you onto more harmonious timelines.
So you see, in this view, ethics isn't about some dusty old rule book of rights and wrongs. It's about physics. It's about trajectory. Every single decision you make is you, at the helm of your own consciousness, steering your way through the infinite ocean of the multiverse.
And the power of this, when we do it together, is just mind-boggling. I mean, think about it. If the 8 billion of us on this planet made just 10 good soul-aligned choices every day, a small act of kindness, a moment of patience, a choice to forgive, we as a species would collectively make almost 30 trillion shifts onto better, more harmonious timelines every single year. So ultimately, it all comes down to this one very personal question. Your life isn't just a single path you're walking. It's an infinite map of possibilities. And the choice you're about to make right now, in this very moment, it isn't just a choice. It's an act of creation. So, what kind of reality are you going to create?